All right, we're live. It's the Android Headline Show, episode 76. My name is Jeremiah. I'm joined tonight by Nick and Alex. You guys want to say what's up?
What's up, everybody?
New day, and this camera still sucks.
Is it
Hey.
Samsung?
That's a Microsoft camera.
That's way worse.
That's all right. Put your hand over it. It'll fix itself.
Yeah, that's
It's
right.
like magic. So, man, I am super excited this week. We've got two really fantastic things that I want to talk about. One is Alex's Hangout notification. I like that a lot. Hangouts, though, I do want to talk about. I won't give Alex a hard time about his notifications anymore, but the Hangouts, man, Hangouts got a big update today. Google Voice finally is integrated with Hangouts to somewhat of an extent. Like, it's not fully integrated yet. That's rolling out to everyone as the days go by. Google says they'll have that done within the next couple of days. But we're going to dive into that because that's been a long time coming, and it's something that I am extremely excited about. We also are going to talk about the Moto X, the Moto G, the Moto 360. So last week, Alex has it in his hand. Last week he was in Chicago and broadcasting from the hotel right after the Motorola event. We couldn't talk about it last week because we were like 3-4 hours before the embargo lifted.
Even though everybody else broke the embargo.
Well, we like to keep our Motorola contacts happy.
Yep.
We'd like to continue to partner with them, so we didn't break that embargo. But we've got all kinds of comparisons, breakdown on the Moto X, the Moto G, the Moto 360. We'll dive into that stuff, and then a whole bunch of news. Big news this week: Apple announced the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6 Plus and the Apple Watch. The long-awaited iWatch is finally here. 5 million Gmail accounts got leaked on username and passwords got leaked online. Unfortunately, that happened, but Google says it's not really a big deal.
Yeah, Google's sounding like 2% of them are actual, current credentials.
Yep, so not that big a deal.
Looks like they're old passwords.
Yeah. We'll talk a little bit about that too, but let's jump into the news. Like I said, big news this week was the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6 Plus.
Literally
Big news, because the iPhone 6 Plus is bigger than the One Plus.
Just the size of the Nexus 7.
Yeah,
It's just about,
pretty
yeah.
close.
It is bigger than the Galaxy Note 4, and their bezels are always pretty big, probably because of that home button.
Yeah, it never helps because it's a little bit more narrow, I think, than like the Note or a lot of phones like that size, but
Yeah,
it's taller.
That's how they did the iPhone 5 when they added that extra inch. They just made it taller. They didn't make it wider.
Yep, exactly.
Which
So
made it look really weird.
Yeah, it did look weird when they did that. This looks a little more natural, I would say, but yeah, they could still use some shrinkage on those bezels.
Especially the top and bottom ones. The sides are pretty good, but the top and bottom are just like, wow.
It's like the M8. It's just too tall.
Yeah, but at least the M8 has front-facing speakers.
Yeah, at least it has a good excuse.
In fact, I think the iPhones are probably bigger than the M8 actually. It's probably bigger than the M7 Max from last year.
It might be.
And that thing was huge.
It was. And the iPhone 6 Plus is a 5.5-inch screen. So screen real estate is the same as the OnePlus One. The iPhone 6 has a 4.7-inch display, so a little bit smaller. Ron Amidio from Ars Technica floated a really hilarious pic on Google Plus right after the iPhone 6 was announced, with a side-by-side of the iPhone 6 and the next 4, and spec-wise, they're identical. It's fantastic. Apple is still playing catch-up. The 4.7-inch iPhone 6 has essentially a 720p display. The pixel count's pretty low, and Apple didn't really talk about high-res displays or any of that stuff because they couldn't showcase any of that. Any of the hardware, they didn't talk about it. All they talked about was having bigger phones, and of course, it was the most amazing, incredible phone that they've ever created.
Well, they talked about the A8 processor, which doesn't seem like a big bump over the A6 from last year. It's still dual-core, still built by Samsung. There's a new, co-motion processor, like for the pedometer and stuff like that, all the health stuff that they announced in iOS 8.
They put a barometer in there too.
Oh, they put a 1080p display on the 6 Plus, so there's that. Finally went to a natural resolution instead of that weird, 1344 by like 705 or something.
Yeah, they're bizarro ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're calling it Retina HD. And
Yeah,
it's bigger.
I don't even know.
Okay.
It's bigger than bigger as well. So yeah, pretty dumb choice of words there.
And that's typical. Yeah, typical Apple marketing. So there really wasn't a whole lot that was impressive about these. They're just iPhones. Spec-wise, they're not that crazy. The iPhone 6 still has an 8-megapixel camera. Doesn't have OIS. Now the 6 Plus does have OIS, so at least there's that. But not a whole lot to be impressed with there.
Yep, and you were doing the Nexus 4 comparison earlier. The Nexus 4 still has double the amount of RAM. I thought that was pretty funny.
I just don't know if
Yeah.
like iOS really needs more than a gig, because I haven't heard of anybody with newer iOS devices, with lag and stuff. It's always the older ones.
Anytime you up the resolution, you generally need to up RAM just because your assets are higher quality and they're going to take up more space. There's nothing you can do about that. So I'm sure they run okay, but I can guarantee you when you open the browser, all your tabs are probably going to have to refresh every time you switch out of the browser. All your stuff's going to have to reload all the time because that stuff just can't sit in RAM. There's nothing to sit in.
So it's like a Chromebook.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I hate about the 2 gig Chromebooks.
Yeah.
Unless you only have like one tab open, and it always refreshes.
Yep. What are you going to do?
So yeah, that was not buying a new iPhone 6.
You
That's what I'm
gotta
gonna
talk about the watch.
Yeah, I was going to say, then there's the watch.
Nick has like an hour for that.
Oh, Lord, I won't spend an hour on it.
So you could probably spend
Go for it, man.
10 hours on it.
All right. So they unveiled the watch, like we all figured they would. This thing literally looks like it was designed in 2001, and they just kind of took it out of the scrapyard and decided to repurpose it or something. I really honestly don't know what they were thinking of. It looks like an iPhone 3G or a 3GS design, except in smaller square watch form. So I don't know. Physically, I'm not at all impressed with it. I think pretty much every Android Wear watch out there looks better than this thing. Software-wise, it's kind of a mix because same thing. They went for a new user interface on this, which I'm happy about because they've had the same user interface on the iPhone for the last 8 years, and so we're finally seeing something new out of them. But again, it looks design-wise like a lot of it was taken out of a number of years ago. Like, I don't know what the deal is. They have weird outlines around boxes, just like styles that were popular a couple of years ago in design and have really gone away. They seem to have kind of tried to resurrect. But functionally, I have to give them credit. This thing is really sweet. And I wish that, this kind of thing is what I hate about Apple, because if you ever decide to jump into that ecosystem, you only have the one crappy watch design. You can't get any of the good stuff about their software on another design that you like. So even if, there's plenty of good stuff to pull out of this thing, and I really hope that Google beefs up Android Wear in the ways that, the Apple Watch beats it functionally. But there's definitely some things I think Android Wear still does better. So they showed off, what did they call it? Glances, right? Isn't that their little notification thing? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's called Glances, which I thought was funny because one of the things that Google stressed about Android Wear back in March, whenever they first showed it off, was glanceable notifications. So if you've ever used an Android Wear watch out there, you'll know that it's basically Google Now style cards where you look at the watch face and you'll swipe up through the information. And Apple literally has done the same design. You look at the watch face, and when you want to grab context-sensitive information like what music is playing, any notifications like calendar entries and stuff, you just swipe up. So that kind of thing's the same. I think they did a better job on watch faces, but I know that Google doesn't even have the Wear SDK fully out yet. So if you go on the Play Store and you look up custom watch faces for Wear, they're more or less useless. They really are. Like, some of them look really cool, but the notifications end up taking up almost the entire screen. So you really can't even see the watch face most of the time unless you just dismiss everything, which kind of defeats the purpose of Wear. So was there anything else that you guys can remember that really impressed you? Or you disliked?
I hate the design. I just hate the design. It's
terrible.
Yeah. It looks like now this really pertains more to the colored watch bands versus some of the other ones. But with the colored watch bands, man, it looks like something you'd get from a vending machine at the front of a restaurant, like a little kid's plastic toy. Now, I say that the G Watch design is not that fantastic.
No.
Neither is the Gear Live.
It's plain and simple.
Right. But I can't stand I really don't like the design of the Apple Watch.
Yeah, it just feels outdated. I don't know. Like, it doesn't feel like something you're going to buy in 2015, which is when this thing comes out, for at least $350. Like, it just, I don't know. I can't see myself spending $350 on something that looks like that and actually being happy no matter what it runs.
What I did like about it is that they've got all these different watch bands available at purchase, so that you can buy the one you want instead of, buy the watch, then later on you want to switch the band to something better or, different style. You have to go buy another band. But that's about all I could find that I liked about it.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of that, yes, that's Apple and their marketing and just being incredibly good with that kind of stuff. But you know what? You can't just switch out any band, right? It has to be the bands they sell.
I think they said it's like the same, like a typical watch band. Like you would get on the G Watch or the Moto 360 as well.
I thought for some reason it was a proprietary band.
I wouldn't be surprised if it is, but I don't remember hearing.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up for clarity. But I think the one other thing, just kind of going over the press conference in my head, that I really liked was when you get a text message, on Wear, what you end up doing is you click reply, and you do all voice dictation, which works flawlessly. I've never had an issue, other than maybe one word here or there that it'll screw up if I'm in the car driving or something, and it has a lot of background noise. But on the I keep wanting to call it the iWatch, on the Apple Watch. Yeah, I'm gonna probably call it that forever. On the Apple Watch, when you get a text, you hit reply, and they have some kind of really cool message curation thing where it'll pick out elements of the message and try to give you 3 quick responses. So, like in the keynote, what's his name? Johnny Ives sent him a message asking him a question if he likes this song or this song better. And when he hit reply, it automatically picked out the names of the songs as 2 replies and then not sure for the third. So you can just reply click a quick reply type of thing that is not just, 5 little things that you stick in there saying, I'll call you right back or whatever. It's actual like dynamic replies that it comes up with.
Yeah, that is interesting. Contextual replies there.
Yeah, it was just a really cool feature. And then, of course, they have like the voice reply. They have little emojis that you can stick in there. Other stuff that I would expect, but I liked that little unique aspect of it. That's something I know we're supposed to have a big Wear update here in a month. I'd love to see some of that stuff put into Wear.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that the big Wear update, I think that's gonna come alongside Android L, because I know there's one that came out this week for all 3 Android Wear smartwatches, but I think it's kind of like minor.
Yeah, there were just some couple of minor, or just one minor update.
I know the Moto 360 actually came out with that update, or at least when I got mine, it already had it. The G Watch and the Gear Life got it a couple days ago, or started getting it a couple days ago.
Yeah, I think those updates, though, have been for things that some watches don't support, so they're hardware features like the ambient display on the Moto, and then I think the Moto has GPS as well, doesn't it?
I don't know. I haven't actually tried that. I don't think it does it, because I used Google Maps when I was in Chicago, and it worked just the same as it did on the G Watch using my phone.
The update I don't think has come out yet to use GPS, but I think that was one of the upcoming ones.
GPS, offline music, because you'll be able to store music on your watch, because there's like of storage. Those are the 2 big things besides watch faces.
Yeah, so I don't think all the Android Wear watches out there have GPS.
Yeah, I don't even know.
I don't want GPS on my watch. The battery life is already 1 day as it is. I don't need it to be half a day.
As long as it's connected to my phone, I'm fine, because it's just going to use the GPS for my phone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
if
I'm going to have it within Bluetooth range anyway.
Yeah, and if I'm going somewhere, it's going to be connected to my phone anyways, unless one of them is running out of power, then I'm not going to want to use it.
Yeah, so that's one of those things. It's like, okay, well, maybe in this really remote situation it'll come in handy, but I don't really care too much about it.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but yeah, it does need to be connected to Bluetooth, because how is it going to find out where you're trying to go?
Yeah, I think maybe that is designed like if you take it away from the phone.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing. Or
but again, how often are you ever going to do that?
Like I guess you could send a location from Maps on your phone to your watch, and it'll use GPS on your watch to.
Yeah, or maybe use it as like a Find My Watch thing if you lost it in the park. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
Yep.
Which I'm surprised they don't already have that, because I know the guy last year had it at launch.
What, GPS?
No, Find My Watch or Find My Gear.
Yeah, but I think you got to have connectivity. I never actually use it on the Gear.
I did use it, but I don't remember if you needed connectivity. I used it for a review, and that was about it.
Yeah, who knows?
So yeah, that was the big stuff from Apple. Obviously, I mean, if you're listening to this, you're probably not running out to buy a new iPhone.
Yeah, they're probably going to do another event next month, because they didn't talk about Yosemite, which is what I was looking forward to, and the iPads, which is what I was also looking forward to. But they usually separate iPhone and iPad anyways, and they usually do like the MacBook Air refresh with the iPhones, and then the MacBook Pro refresh with the iPad. So I don't know, maybe there won't be a refresh this year.
We will find out in about a month.
Yep.
So this Gmail hack, it really wasn't a hack. This we saw a report that just over 5 million Gmail accounts. Their usernames and passwords had been released on a Russian Bitcoin forum. And this was, it sounded really scary at first. Most of the accounts were Russian Gmail accounts. Some of them were English and Spanish. Google said that less than 2% of them were current passwords. So most of these were old. But basically what it was is a list that had been collected over the course of years of usernames and email addresses for Gmail accounts that had been collected through like phishing attacks and different social engineering, where people, these hackers were able to gather this information. There's a website that you can go and check to make sure that your account was not affected, which you should do. It's a good time to go back and reevaluate your password practices, reset your passwords if you haven't done that in a while. Maybe look at something like LastPass, some kind of password manager, to make sure you got strong passwords in place. I wouldn't necessarily worry about this incident, but you always want to be careful with your information.
And use two-step verification, for the love of God, please. It's not that hard. I literally have to re-authenticate maybe once a month. Maybe.
Everywhere that you can possibly turn on two-factor authentication, go do it if you haven't yet. So that's that. Just so a reminder that your information, you got to take steps to keep it safe. So if you are concerned with it, though, you definitely go check, pull up the post on AndroidHeadlines.com. There's a link in there to the site where you can go check to make sure that your Gmail account is safe. Cricket rolled out some new plans this week. We are seeing the continuance of price plans, price plan wars. Cricket added more data to their prepaid plans. So now you can get a plan for, if you set it up with auto pay, it's like $55 a month. It comes with like 10 gigs of data.
Yep. And the lower ones are like 5 gigs and 1 gig, or is it 3 gigs and 1 gig?
I think it's 3 gigs.
Yeah. Because they all doubled except for the middle one. That one only got like half a gig extra. But yeah, if you do autopay, you get an extra $5 off every month. With Cricket, it's on AT&T, but they cap LTE download speeds at 8 megabit. So that's what everybody's complaining about right now, is that you can only go up to 8 megabits per second download, which for most cases isn't a big deal.
Yeah, that's still a meg a second. I mean, I'm happy when I get a meg a second download. I don't know about you guys.
And if
you're okay with the speeds,
it depends on what I'm doing. Like last week when I was working off a hotspot, trying to upload all those pictures for all the Motorola stuff.
Yes.
Like I need faster than what T-Mobile was giving me over there, and Verizon delivered with like 70 and 40, 70 down, 40 up, and I was happy with that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but I would say a normal day-to-day 8 megs is probably good.
Yeah, if you're just running around, checking Facebook, Twitter, Google+, email, etc., 8 gigs or 8 megs is more than enough. In fact, 10 gigs is probably way more than you need, especially if it's capped at 8 megs.
Yep.
Well, and that's the thing. Even though they cap your download speeds, you're still getting 10 gigs for $55.
And if you go over, they throttle it. I think they said it'll be under 122 kilobits, but I mean that's if you go over. So at least there's no overcharge.
And it's running off AT&T's network, so you've got pretty decent coverage.
Yes. And it's still GSM, so you can go pick up like a 1+1 or Nexus 5 and put it on there. Just pop in your SIM.
Exactly.
If T-Mobile doesn't work in your area, if you are like me and you're a fan of prepaid plans and buying your phones unlocked, this is not a bad deal.
It's a really good deal. I'm actually looking at Cricket right now.
Yep.
I mean, T-Mobile is pretty good for me a lot of the time, but sometimes it's like it's not there. Data speeds are always there, but well, now that Google Voice is VoIP basically, I don't really need good voice signal anymore. But it's still nice to have it there in case I don't have data.
Yep. And it's exciting too because this is only going to get more intense as the carriers compete with each other.
And I'm actually surprised to see AT&T competing like this hard already, because in their press releases for like Cricket's last 2 or 3 big announcements, they are targeting T-Mobile directly because they have a $100 switcher credit for T-Mobile customers, and like in today's press release, it said like That's more than double the data that T-Mobile, Boost Mobile, and Virgin Mobile will give you for that price.
Oh man.
I've never seen like a carrier targeting, other than T-Mobile, a carrier targeting another carrier like that, putting their name in the press release. They'll just say their competitors or other carriers, not their actual name.
Yep.
Well, and it's interesting to see that because John Ledger always likes to put out crazy tweets about how they're pooping their pants or whatever, and this actually shows that he's got a point. If they're specifically targeting T-Mobile and not everybody else, they're doing a good job.
Because in this one they had, I think they put T-Mobile in there like 3 different times, but Boost Mobile and Virgin Mobile were only in there like once. But
Yeah, nobody cares about them.
T-Mobile is still the only carrier that puts LOL in their press release title.
That's true. That's true. You got to give them that.
Because when I saw that, I'm
good
like,
times.
is this a press release or a blog post from Ledger? And it's supposed to be a press release.
That guy, I have to say, I think he's my favorite CEO ever. I can't really say that I've had a favorite CEO in the past, but he takes the cake.
That press release, it started capital L, capital O, capital L, and then like 3 exclamation points. Because he was laughing at AT&T's best family plan ever.
So one of the guys that I talked to on Twitter, Heyo to Huseman, I saw him today call John Ledger legs. So I think we should run with that. Just call him legs.
Just call him legs.
Call him legs.
Oh, what did T-Mobile announce today? They had a bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah, they
I saw something about every Wi-Fi is now a tower.
So
Yeah, it's Wi-Fi calling for simple, isn't it?
yeah, so basically all of T-Mobile's phones moving forward are going to be Wi-Fi, are going to have Wi-Fi calling capabilities. And John Ledger made a point to say, hey, look, we know our network is not fantastic in every area, so now you can still make calls just over Wi-Fi. Whether it's at home, at work, wherever you've got Wi-Fi, all their phones now will be capable. Moving forward, they will continue to be so. If you don't already have a Wi-Fi capable, a phone that's capable of Wi-Fi calling, you are eligible to upgrade with their simple plans to a phone that has Wi-Fi calling. They are also giving out to quote-unquote qualified customers a Wi-Fi router that is pre-configured to give preference to voice packets. So if you're at home and you're streaming Netflix and you're also on a phone call, those voice packets will have priority. So the voice service is still decent. But that's the Uncarrier 7.
Yeah.
So you don't need a T-Mobile branded phone for Wi-Fi calling now, right?
You still need a T-Mobile branded phone. It doesn't work with anything that's not T-Mobile. Like I can't take my OnePlus, even though it's got a T-Mobile SIM in it, and you use their Wi-Fi calling.
Yes, I don't see much of a difference over what it was before.
This works for Simple, isn't it? Wasn't that what they were saying?
Yes.
Is it works for Simple Mobile now?
Yes.
Yeah, it was only T-Mobile customers before, and now it's also Simple Mobile. And I guess their other point was going forward, you won't have to worry about picking a phone with Wi-Fi calling. They all have Wi-Fi calling. That's a requirement now.
I like this comment that Ledger made about Sprint's new CEO today. He's like, that new guy from Sprint is big, and I'm scared of that guy. They also put out their numbers for August. They added 2.75 million people or postpaid in just August. That's crazy.
Postpaid in August?
Yeah, postpaid. Post ads.
That is
prepaid. They're doing free in-flight texting over Wi-Fi as well.
Yes, that was with GoGo. They partnered with GoGo, so now all T-Mobile phones will have the ability to text while you're on a plane for free.
See, that's nice. That's some good stuff. I like when they add things like that actually I would like to use.
Right.
And I like how they did texting only. That was good because there's nothing more annoying than somebody trying to make a phone call on a plane.
Yeah.
It also is not data; it's text messaging.
Yeah.
Which is incredibly light and costs carriers almost nothing.
Yep.
So, but yeah, it's a cool setup. It was really cool to see.
He made a dig about AT&T and the Fire Phone at it being 99 cents now.
The Fire Phone sale.
Yeah.
Fire sale on the Fire Phone or something like that.
Yeah, just skimming through everything that was announced because I wasn't here when it happened, but I don't see anything else that's new.
No, and the Wi-Fi calling thing was the big deal. Like that was the fact that they're building it into all their phones moving forward. It's now on the simple plans as well as their postpaid plans, and they could potentially give you a router.
Yeah, the cell spot, which is what I'm looking at right now, because I don't have perfect coverage here from T-Mobile, but it's better than everybody else. So I was looking at getting a signal booster.
They might give it to you for free. You should look into that.
They told me before that I'm not eligible for it. They said I have enough bars, which is like 2, but the other end of the house is like nothing.
You need 0 bars everywhere.
Yeah, like the other end of the house, nothing from AT&T, nothing from T-Mobile. You might get like 1X from Verizon, and then
1X.
Like, yeah.
How does that still run?
It's like when you go from 3G to 1X on Verizon, you know something's wrong.
Oh, it's pain. Yeah, I have an area over here in Orlando where that's consistent. I will always drop to 1X, and I'm like, oh, I'm here again.
It's
so rough.
And they always tell me that it's because I'm so close to Canada, which I don't know if that's the reason or not, because everybody else has LTE here. So I'm not buying it.
I will say, as much as people dig, and that includes myself, at T-Mobile's Edge network, Verizon's 1X network is even less useful.
Yes, their 3G is like worse than T-Mobile's.
Yeah.
I did
Their
a 3G
network
test.
borders on completely unusable.
I did a 3G test with Sprint and Verizon side by side. Yeah, Sprint beat Verizon. And Verizon had like 3-4 bars.
It's pretty rough.
Yeah.
It's pretty rough.
It's pretty rough when your 3G network is worse than Sprint.
Well, we also saw that T-Mobile, we didn't necessarily see that anybody come out and say we're not buying T-Mobile, but T-Mobile is not going to get purchased by any of the big 3 companies in the U.S. And any other deals that that might come through to purchase T-Mobile are going to be looked at pretty closely. The FCC chairman, Tom Wheeler, came out and said, basically, we want 4 carriers in the U.S. We don't want 3 big ones. We want there to be 4.
Yep.
So
he's been saying that for, well, not just him, but FCC's been saying that for as long as I can remember, even back to AT&T.
So we got confirmation of that again this week.
Because
he's probably not going to get purchased.
At least not by a U.S. Carrier. I could maybe see it being bought by that French carrier, Iliad or whatever.
Iliad, yeah.
But I don't see it being purchased by like SoftBank or AT&T, Verizon. Maybe Vodafone will come back into the U.S. and pick them up, but it won't happen anytime soon, I don't think.
Which is fine. I mean, they're doing okay. So they added 2.7 million customers last month.
Just got to get Deutsche Telekom to put some money into the network.
And they are. They're working to expand the network too. But let's switch gears because I'm really excited. Let's talk about some hardware. We have the Moto X, the Moto 360. You got a Moto G too, right, Alex?
Yep. I also have that micro battery pack. It's not actually over here right now, but that thing is cool. It's like smaller, so it can go on your keychain, and that's actually what I have it on right now. It has a built-in micro USB port at the bottom, so you just stick it into your phone. It's like the same width as the Moto X. It comes down to about here. And it's small. It's like 1500 milliamps, so it's not big, but it connects to Motorola Connect. so you can use it to find your phone, or you can use your phone to find your battery pack. There's some other stuff. Let me open up, connect, and see what else is in here.
Doesn't it also charge super fast?
Yeah, it does charge pretty quick. It'll send you notifications when it's fully charged. I took a picture of that earlier because it popped up on my 360. So I posted it on Google Plus earlier this week. It'll show you like where it's last seen at, all kinds of stuff. It's really cool in my opinion. It's not going to replace like my Line Fuel 15,000 milliamp battery here, but in a pinch it'll get you through the day.
Talk about the phone, man. I'm really excited about this phone.
The best part is leather.
Yeah,
This is the black leather with the black front on AT&T. Probably can't. The logo. I actually like the logo because you can't really see it. I don't even know if you can see it on camera really.
Nope.
But it's like, I don't know if it's like transparent or what do you want to call it. The dimple, it takes some getting used to. I like the dimple on the Moto X, which it actually looks a lot like the one on the Moto G here. It's really subtle. But coming from the G3, I keep trying to push it to turn on the phone. The front-facing speaker, there's only one, even though a lot of us thought that there were two. The top one is just an earpiece. The bottom one is a speaker. It's really loud. I think it's louder than Boom Sound. But then again, I was comparing it to the One Remix because that's the phone I had with me. I didn't have a M8. I have it's stock Android, Google Now launchers in here. As far as bloatware goes, I mean, there's a lot of AT&T stuff that I disabled. Oh, they finally updated ISIS to soft card. What else? Oh, the touchless control Moto Voice. You can say like OK Moto X, and it'll pop up. You can have it say whatever you want it to say. Really, you can say OK Google Now. Pretty much whatever you want. Just record and go ahead. It doesn't seem to work when the screen is off now, though. I'm guessing that's because they don't have their own processor that they created. Like to do with the Moto X last year, the X8 stuff. So they had always listening going on.
It's not just a setting?
It might be. I haven't played with Moto Voice all that much.
That's a big deal if they screwed that up. That's a really awesome feature on the X last year.
Yeah, here it is. Commands while locked.
Beautiful.
Let's try it now. Okay, Moto X. I guess not. I have to look at that later on and see.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
But
in
yeah.
the Moto app, they pretty much put everything into the Moto app. You turn down the volume or the brightness a little bit. So you can jump in the settings. If you got assist, you got actions, and that didn't really work. You got voice and you got Moto display as well, so that you can check all the touchless display stuff. Select certain apps. I just have it do all of them. Active display, it's Moto display now. You can do 3 apps, so you can have 3 notifications here and see them all from there. That's still one of my favorite parts of active display. There's infrared sensors in each corner, which is so you can like wave your hand over the display, and it'll pop up active display. So it's not quite what Amazon did. I think it's a lot better than what Amazon did. Another thing that I liked is that when you go to the screen, it'll show you the date at the top and the battery in the corner. Before it didn't do that at all. It's something subtle, but it's there. I mean, the sides are metal, so it feels really nice, and then the back is leather. They have it in 4 different leathers, and then they also have it in 4 different wood and all the the polycarbonate colors that they've always had. It's gonna be $99 in contract and $499 off contract, which I think is a pretty good price because the specs are basically the same as like the S5, the M8, the G3, Snapdragon 801, 5.2-inch display. 2 gigs of RAM, 16 gigs of storage, or 32. Nothing about a 64. They didn't say anything about the 64 gig, even though we saw it leaked out.
They might roll that out later too, like we saw with the Moto X. They'll announce that here in a couple weeks or something. So, yeah, the phone looks great.
I really like that phone. I haven't even used the Moto G because I've just been using the Moto X ever since I got it. But on the Moto G, yeah.
I was gonna say I hadn't noticed it until you were holding it up to the camera, but the top and the back of it kind of look a lot like a G3. Just the way the curvature is looking from the top of it.
The curve, I think, is a lot more, especially at the top. I don't know if you can really tell, but I think it's like a much more curved, because over here I think it's like 4.5 millimeters thin or something like that. It's like super thin at the corners, which I held it, like I held this Moto X in one hand and the last year's in the other hand. It did not feel that much bigger at all. It was a little bit taller, but like the overall size, it didn't feel that much different. So everybody wondering about, because it is half an inch bigger. Everybody wondering about if it's really that much bigger. It's really not.
Yeah, and I'm really liking the trend with the curved backs, because it really, really does make a huge difference when you're holding it. I think that's definitely one area in design that Apple totally messed up with their bigger phones.
And Moto G has it as well. It's not as prominent, I guess is the word for it.
It's not quite as big of a phone either.
Actually, it's the same size.
It is? Because I know the screen size is a little bit smaller.
It looks like it's a little bit narrower, but I had them on my desk face down while Jeremiah was starting up the show, and I was looking at it. It's like the same height, almost the same width, even though it's a 5-inch display versus a 5.2. But it has front-facing speakers, dual ones. The one at the top is also a front-facing speaker here. Only thing is it doesn't have the Google Now launcher, which is weird. It's just a regular. It's like the Google Now launcher without Google Now.
That's really bizarre. You can just add it though, because it's KitKat.
Because I'm pretty sure.
At the very least, right?
Oh, you know what? On the Moto X, when you do the setup, it has you do Google Now right then and there in the setup process, and here it did it. I just turned it on, but it's still not there. So.
Does the G have the always, not necessarily always on listening, but the same kind of features, or no? They took all that out.
They have a Motorola Assist is in here, so all that the meeting stuff does, so it doesn't ring when you're sleeping, stuff like that. I think that's all the Motorola stuff. Oh, Migrate is in here as well. Yeah, that's all the Motorola stuff that they stuck in here. The battery life on this thing it's nuts. I mean, I had about 3 days, and it was down to like 40%, and I was like all standby on HSPA Plus.
On the Moto X, are you kidding?
No, Moto G.
On the G, okay.
Because I didn't use the Moto G that much since I got it.
How's the Moto X been?
I've been using a lot more, so it's a little worse than like the G3. On average, I'm getting about 16 hours off the charger with like 4 hours on screen. And that's a mixture of LTE and Wi-Fi. Like Sunday, I think it was 16 and a half off the charger. It was like 357 on screen, and about 8 hours of that was on LTE. So I didn't think it was too bad.
No, man, are you kidding? The Moto X is a 2,300 milliamp hour battery.
Yeah.
The 16-hour screen time, or 16 hours off charger, 4 hours screen time, and like half and half LTE and Wi-Fi. That's almost the exact specs I get on this OnePlus One with a 3,000 milliamp hour battery.
Yep. I was surprised they didn't put a 3,000 in here, because for all intents and purposes, it's a G2, without back buttons and with a slightly newer processor. And that one had a 3,000 milliamp battery, and since Motorola uses LG's batteries, I thought for sure we'd see a 3,000 milliamp battery in there, but nope.
Yeah, I think that was the only part that was kind of weird.
Yeah, everybody's writing it off as soon as it was announced, like, oh, it's gonna have crap battery life. Like, I don't think so, because I know how Motorola optimizes their stuff. I mean, the Moto X, the first one had really good battery life until KitKat. It was still pretty good. It just wasn't great. especially for the size of battery it had. It was like a 2100 milliamp battery in there. But 2300 milliamp, it's kind of small. I'd like to see a bigger one in there, obviously, but it still lasts plenty long. It lasts me all day. So I just charge it at night pretty much.
Which is what you're doing anyways, whether you have
Yeah.
15 or 20% at the end of the night or 40% at the end of the night, you're still plugging it up. So if you can get 16, 17 hours off charger with 4 hours of screen time, it's plenty.
And on the Moto G, you do have the swappable backs, so they actually gave me the white one, and I stuck the yellow one on here for now. It's no removable battery though, but there's SD card slot. You can see where they have it set up for dual SIM, even though this one's a regular SIM card, just one SIM card. The Moto G, it's a really good phone, especially for under $200. I don't think anything comes close to it at $179. With everything that they added in here, I was surprised that it was still $179, the same price as last year's model. I think it's the same battery, 2070 milliamps, which last year's lasted forever, and then still had like 20% left. It's still stock Android. There's 8 and 16 gigs storage. This one's the 8 gigabyte model, and it has, I think, like 4 or 5 gigs available, 4.83 gigs. So it's not too bad. What else?
Talk about the camera, because that's the other thing that people were concerned with.
On the Moto G, I didn't use it all that much, but on the Moto X, it's a whole lot better. I posted a lot of pictures on Google Plus over the last few days, or over like the last week, basically, and it looks a whole lot better. I also did a quick post today. It was announced of like a bunch of pictures from the Moto X, and HDR is really good. Low light is pretty good as well. It's not perfect, but it is 13 megapixel camera. On the back, there's 2 flashes here, and what it does is when you hit the shutter, if you want to use the flash, it'll flash, and then like take the picture and flash again. So you have kind of like softer pictures or whatever. I don't really know the technical names for it because I'm not a big camera guy. I just shoot and take pictures and that's it.
It works like a diffuser to spread the light out more so it's not as harsh.
Yeah, there should be some more camera updates. I believe they told us there'd be a couple more before it actually goes on sale. So I'm guessing it might get even better because this is still pre-release software on the Moto X and the Moto G so far.
Now, one of the things I thought was really interesting, just reading a little bit more about stuff you posted and just stuff from Motorola, was the camera. I thought I read this right on auto was supposed to have some kind of like pre-shot, post-shot feature where when you click the shutter button, it actually takes a bunch of pictures at once, and I think it's supposed to analyze them and pick the best one for you, right?
Yep. I haven't actually done that yet. They also added in highlights like HTC has, which I haven't really used that either yet. But it doesn't do it automatically. You have to do it yourself, which is the only downside, and I'm guessing that'll probably change in a couple updates because the gallery and the camera, well, it's the same app, but it's all in the Play Store.
Yeah, I know from some of the shots you posted, I was really impressed with the HDR algorithm they have. It seems like it's a really nice one.
When I took the first couple pictures, I was actually really impressed after using the old Moto G or Moto X for 3-4 months or so. Pictures are just never really that good.
Yeah, most phones totally screw up the HDR thing. So it's good to see when every now and then you get one that looks good.
Yeah, I took a ton of shots, a ton of them when I was in Chicago, and they'll all be in the review probably next week. I don't know if I'll do it this week, just because it's still on pre-release software, and I don't like reviewing stuff when it's on pre-release stuff because it'll change. And you can't buy it yet, so you can't buy it yet, so there's no point in rushing out a review yet.
Exactly. You don't want to do that, and then you have to get to make amendments to the review and all that stupid crap.
Yeah.
It's just take your time.
Yeah. The only one that'll probably be up soon is the Moto 360, which is here. Well, let me take it off so it'll be right side up. But it's the black leather with the black face. I think it's the only one they got out right now. So I've got this is the rotate uh, watch faces on there. You can actually customize the colors on all the watch faces through the Motorola Connect app now. Battery life has been pretty good for me. Today I've been using it a lot, so it's at like 50% now. I took it off the charger, I think 7:30 this morning, so about 15 hours now, and it's down to 50%. Isn't that bad actually. I think I did put on a charger for a few minutes though. It charges really fast, and it's Qi charging, so you can just put on any Qi wireless charger. But the one that they have is really nice because the way it shows it, like it shows the turn right side up. But it shows the clock there, like just like a regular desktop clock. So it looks pretty cool. Battery life isn't bad. They have a few like heart rate stuff in here. So they want you to be, I guess they want your heart to be active 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. So it tries to get you to do that. So you can turn that off if that annoys you too much. Heart rate sensor is right there. You can't even really see it, but you can check your heart rate there.
I'm glad to hear about the heart rate thing because I saw that and I wasn't sure if it just like randomly checked your heart rate or what. So
it checks
I
it
was
whenever you want
wondering,
it to.
like, yeah.
It checks it when you want it to. It doesn't check it like every hour or so. Although some people said they wanted that. I don't know if they'll add an option for that or not.
Yeah, I don't know.
So like with the heart activity, you can see I've been active for, well, maybe you can't see, for 30 minutes for 3 days in a row. So it wants me to do 2 more days to meet the goal. I guess you can't like edit that, make it like 6 days or 40 minutes a day or whatever. Some of the watch faces on here are really nice. The ambient mode, it'll probably get you about 12 to 13 hours. So it'll probably get you through a typical day, but not like from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. Which kind of sucks because I like ambient mode because then you can actually see the full watch face instead of cards over it. But I guess that's what happens when you have a TI OMAP processor in there.
Yeah, and so that we saw a teardown of the Moto 360, and the battery's actually not even 320 milliamp hours; it's only 300.
Well, what Motorola came to talk to, I think it was Ars Technica Computer World, and basically on batteries they have to put the minimum and then the typical numbers, like, milliamp hours on there. And because that battery is so small, they couldn't fit both numbers on there. I don't know if that's really a thing, but that's what they're saying, so I'm going to believe them, I guess, until I can actually find out that it is only 300 instead of 320.
That doesn't seem like that big a deal, though. If it's not in ambient light, the ambient mode, you're getting way, what's that, 12, 15 hours today, and you're still at 50%.
Yeah, that's like the normal. Normally I can get through about, like a 16, 17 hour day, and it'll still be like around 35%. I don't use it for, like maps and, stuff like that, or playing music that much, but that's how it works for me, and it works fine for me, so.
Yeah, and that sounds about what I get out of my Gear Live, which honestly is fine. I think today is the first day I've ever had it actually die on me.
The first full day I had the Moto 360, I had ambient display on, or ambient mode, whatever it's called. I had that on, and that was the day I was traveling, going back home, and like within 5 hours it was down to like 59%, so I had to turn that off, and I think it died before I got home. With all the storms going through and the delays.
Yeah, so that sounds like if you know you're going to the office, turn it on, and then when you get home, drop it on the charger. Otherwise, leave ambient mode off.
Yep.
Yeah, you can change the bands. The bands are actually like inside here. The titanium or the steel ones that they're going to sell later this year, you can buy separately and put them on here. So if you were waiting for that and didn't want the leather, you can still buy it now and wait for the steel ones, which Verizon seems to think is coming November 11th. I don't know when. They just said later this year. So at least you can do that. And I was pleasantly surprised at the cost of it. $249 and $299 for the steel bands.
Much better. That's like $100 to $150 more than we thought it was going to be.
You mean less?
I'm sorry. Yes, less than we thought it was going to be. I was thinking more like $400 to $450. So.
Yeah, I was too. I'm glad it's not.
Yep, that'll work. So that's exciting, man. I'm glad we got that stuff, that hardware in house. We will get some reviews up. I'm definitely excited about the Moto X. They improved that in all the ways that the last version needed to be improved.
Yep.
They did I want to say like the perfect upgrade. Instead of adding in a bunch of stuff that you may not use, or even if you do, it's just an app that you can uninstall if you don't want to use it. But they upgraded the processor, that made the screen bigger. They gave you more pixels. Went to 1080p. They didn't give you more RAM or more storage, unfortunately. They didn't give you an SD card slot, which is kind of weird because the Moto G has it, but then the Moto G is only 8 gigs. But it's like everything that everybody complained about last year has been fixed, except for the SD card slot, but I didn't figure we were going to get one of those, especially since Google still is technically in charge of Motorola for now until that deal gets approved with Lenovo.
And that's a performance thing too. And
Yeah.
Not surprising that they did not add that in. So,
like, I haven't put a SD card slot or SD card in the Moto G to see how performance changes, but it only supports, I think, up to 32, maybe a 64 gigabyte one. And I think I only have a 128 that works now.
That's not going to work to test it, but that's all right.
Yeah.
For $179, the Moto G is still a phenomenal phone.
Oh yeah. It's last year that was the phone I recommend to everybody that didn't want to spend more than $200 on a phone. Even when the LTE version came out, that was still the phone I was recommending to everybody, unless they could get like the Nexus 5 on sale or something from eBay, because those are always on sale.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Honestly, I would recommend that thing over almost every phone that's more than a year old. So you go on eBay and you buy like I don't know, whatever, we'll just say Galaxy S3 or something, for like $200. Nah, go get a Moto G.
It's not
probably cheaper too.
The S3 is like almost 300 still.
Yeah, it's crazy. Get rid of that crap. Go buy a Moto G.
Well, the S3 is just the iPhone 6, and that's going for like 800.
Yeah, 800 at least.
Well done, sir. So let's jump into some software and app stuff because we had some big news there today.
Yes.
Hangouts and Google Voice are finally playing nice. Google Voice is integrating into Hangouts for text and phone calls. Hangouts is going to be your go-to messaging app for everything. Even MMS is kind of working, which is something that we've never had in Google Voice that in any kind of real way. So we saw this first thing this morning. We started seeing it pop up. I think Droid Life saw it first. Open up the Google Voice app, and it asks you, do you want to integrate Google Voice with Hangouts? At the time, if you said yes, it really only kind of halfway worked. It was really janky. Not too long after that, Google released a statement that said, hey, Google Voice is finally getting integration into Hangouts. There's going to be a separate Hangouts dialer and an update to the Hangouts app. They pushed the dialer to the Play Store pretty quickly, and the Hangouts app update is rolling out to users. We actually have the APK on the site, so you can go download that now if you want to. It's version 2.3. and it's a really nice update for the Hangouts app. And now Google Voice, we have free VoIP calling. If you have a Google Voice number and you make a phone call through Hangouts, it shows up as your Google Voice number. If you don't have a Google Voice number, it just completes the call. I didn't play with that to see what number shows up when you call out using that, but it works. It's free VoIP calling. So we were talking earlier about T-Mobile's, Wi-Fi stuff. This is basically Wi-Fi calling for any device. The SMS integration is still a little bit janky, but that is also being rolled out and updated over the next couple of days as users get the new Hangouts APK and the option in the Google Voice app to integrate voice with Hangouts. This is really exciting. This is something we've been waiting for a long, long time. What do you guys think?
It's about time. But I want it to be finished. Because, right now it's only halfway there, so gotta wait for it to finish. It doesn't look like phone calls over VoIP doesn't look like it uses a whole lot of data. Like, I made about 3-4 phone calls earlier, and I think it only used about a megabyte.
And that's good for speed concern issues, because I know.
Yeah.
I was thinking, okay, well, how good of coverage do you need to actually use this? Are we talking at least 2 full bars of LTE or something, or are we talking maybe even over a decent 3G connection? I don't know. We have to test it out a little bit further to see how reliable that sort of thing is.
It'll be interesting to see if we can do it over Edge, especially for those that are on throttle plans.
Yeah, that would. That would be very interesting.
It'll probably work. It's not HD voice; it's just standard voice. So the the voice packets are not that big. It's not going to eat up a whole lot of data. Probably those voice calls would work. It would just take forever to connect.
Yeah.
Establish that initial connection. There would also probably be some lag, 1 or 2 seconds of lag time. So it'd sound like you were talking to somebody on the moon. You have to say something and wait for them to respond.
Yeah, because Hangouts is already lagging now, and for me, I'm on a 50 meg connection, so I'm pretty sure it would lag on the Edge.
But it would work.
Yeah.
In theory, at least.
I think it'll work better after a few more updates, and once they really get going on it. There's probably going to be a bunch of kinks that are in the way once it finishes rolling out. I think they said within a couple days after the Hangouts app rolls out, which hopefully rolls out pretty quickly, because I want to get rid of that Google Voice app.
Well, you got to think too that today everybody on Android that's been waiting for this for 12 months or whatever, even longer, everybody is testing it out right now. So once that settles down a little bit, the call quality should get better. And you're right, Google will tweak it so it works better.
And not just Google Voice people like us, but people that want the new version of Hangouts, because it does have a lot of material design elements in there. And it's nice.
It's a nice update in and of itself, absolutely.
Yeah, which is funny that they only called it 2.3, and it's literally a complete design overhaul of the whole app. So I don't know.
It's like the biggest update since Google Talk, really.
Yeah, this is the biggest update since going from Talk to Hangouts.
I think it's bigger than that update myself, but.
Well, this is a big move to be able to integrate Google Voice, because the Wi-Fi calling has been built into the iOS app for months and months.
Yep.
But it didn't integrate with Google Voice. It's pretty ambitious to finally be able to get the voice calling, Google Voice calling, in the Hangouts app with your Google Voice number, and also text messages and even MMS. If you got MMS from an MMS message from somebody on Sprint or T-Mobile, it's going to show up like a normal MMS message would. Supposedly AT&T and Verizon will be working as well once the rollout's complete. There were some people that were seeing just a link. So if somebody sent you an MMS, Google stored it on their servers and created a website or a URL for it and just put the link into your Hangouts. thread, so then you could click on that and open it in a browser. Which I'm okay with that too. At least it's something. At least it's working MMS as opposed to what we've had now, which is nothing. It would just drop completely.
It works right now if it comes from a Sprint or T-Mobile subscriber.
But before this update from a Sprint or T-Mobile subscriber, it would forward it to your Gmail account, like to your email address. It didn't come through in the message thread.
I don't really get MMS, so I can't say how it worked for me, but I thought that Sprint and T-Mobile were like really integrated with Google Voice for MMS.
If you're on any carrier and using a Google Voice, the Sprint or T-Mobile MMS would forward to your email account. If it was Sprint to Sprint, then it would show up like normal, but only if it was Sprint to Sprint. So it was kind of weird.
Yeah, it was something they had just on their network.
Yep.
Yeah, Sprint has always been like super integrated with Google Voice. Like you could use your Sprint number in Google Voice and use them for voicemail and everything, which is pretty cool. But I wish it was like that for other carriers too.
Yeah, they were the only ones that signed on for that.
Yep. T-Mobile was a little bit like if their integration is kind of weird. I don't remember exactly what part is integrated with Google Voice, but it's a little bit there. Not to Sprint's level though.
Yep. So, Nick, I know you were testing out some of this earlier, trying to see if you could do it completely Wi-Fi. Like you could even, in theory, drop your cellular connection altogether and just operate your phone off Wi-Fi.
Yep. And we were able, I ran it for a couple of hours at work, and I was able to do everything except for texting. And that was only because my account hasn't been migrated over to the new stuff yet, which is just part of the staged rollout stuff that they always like to do. So in, I don't know, hours, days, however long it takes them to do the full rollout, if you go into Gmail and the Hangouts in there, there's supposed to be a setting to even forward text messages. So I don't know, if that ends up being the case and you could forward text messages, I honestly think that this is probably the biggest mobile news this year. I'm just going to say that, because this literally allows you to completely get rid of cell network data. Like, you go straight data only. If you want to use, LTE data or whatever, or if you want to just use Wi-Fi only, you could literally at this point bypass a carrier if you can just have a network connection. Like, it's really a big freaking deal.
Oh yeah, I was talking with a friend about that earlier too. After we had talked about it a little bit, you really could, if you have a mobile hotspot, or if you just wanted to wing it and just run off your Wi-Fi at home, Wi-Fi at work, maybe Wi-Fi at like Starbucks or somewhere.
Yep.
You'd have to deal with, the Wi-Fi connections and how fast or slow they are. You might miss phone calls occasionally and have to call people back because your phone was between Wi-Fi spots. Same thing with messaging, but you could do it.
Yeah, I would say in that situation it'd be best if you could just get a Wi-Fi hotspot, or even just a basic like almost data only plan, kind of like how you have, where it's only you get like 100 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that way you're not worried about using minutes at all, because you pretty much won't ever use your minutes, and the same with texts. And what I thought was really cool in our tests, there's a guy there that has an iPhone 5S, and they've had like you said earlier, they've had the voice over IP on there for a while now, and so we tested this between my coworker's Galaxy S4, my OnePlus One, and his iPhone 5S, and we were able to make phone calls. It was completely seamless, and what was really awesome was when they called me, it came in through the regular dialer. So on my phone, it just looked like a regular phone call coming from any landline or any other cell, but on their phones, they were doing it through Hangouts. So they had the option on the fly to switch between voice only and video and voice, and it literally made no difference on my end whatsoever. So they're sitting there having a video phone call while I'm just on the phone with them. I don't know,
that's really cool.
Freaking awesome.
They were video conferencing and then added you in as a voice only line.
Yep, and then you can switch back and forth between the two. So like if your connection's getting crappy, you just turn video off, and it literally doesn't disconnect. It doesn't hang up on anybody. It just drops the video portion of the call.
Oh my gosh, that's huge. That
Yeah,
is
dude,
awesome.
we were freaking out over this thing. This is like the
Oh
most
my gosh.
amazing silent rollout I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, and Google's being so quiet about it, understandably, because they want to make sure it works right.
Well, yeah, I don't think they want everyone to jump on the service, 'cause then it's going to break and everyone's
Right.
going to be pissed.
So another question then. Your buddy that's got the iPhone, when
Yep.
he made a call through the Hangouts app, does he have a Google Voice number?
Yes.
Did it come through as his Google Voice number?
Yes.
Okay. And he didn't have a separate Google Voice app or anything installed. It just
Correct. It's
was all
just
seamless.
Hangouts. It
Yeah.
showed up on my phone as unknown. I don't know if that's some weird thing with Google Voice or what. I've never used Voice before. Not in any real way, I should say.
Oh, see, when I make a call from Hangouts from my phone or from the desktop, if I use it in Gmail, it
Yeah.
comes through as my Google Voice number. Like you'll see that number pop up. It doesn't say unknown.
Yeah, now I don't know, that was really inconsistent even with the S4 when we were using it to test. I know sometimes he would call me and it would come out his voice number starts with like an 850 or some area code that I don't know. And then sometimes it would come up as private number or unknown.
Okay.
So I don't know if that, and that could have just been server errors from today, because I know at one point somebody tried to call him, and no matter which of the two numbers that he had forwarded to his voice, his Google Voice number, it would go straight to voicemail.
Okay, so it's still acting a little funny.
Yeah, I think they were just having hiccups just because it's, first day rollout kind of stuff. But give it a couple of days, and I have a feeling this is going to be something really special.
Yes, absolutely. I've got a buddy who's got an iPhone, and we were testing it out tonight too, just before the show. And when he called me from Hangouts, it showed up as his Google Voice number every time. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, and
So-
I was telling you guys before what my friend ended up doing was he went into his S4 and he disabled the Samsung dialer because when we first started testing this out, somebody would call him and both dialers would pop up. Like it was really confusing. And so
Weird.
he went in and disabled the Samsung dialer, and then when somebody called him, only Hangouts dialer comes up. So it works properly like it should.
I wonder if that had anything to do with the forwarding, like if he had call forwarding set up on his voice account.
He did, and that was part of it, but I don't know. I think it's a weird Samsung thing, to be honest. But he's not rooted, so you don't have to have root to be able to do that, which is
Dude,
nice.
that's-
So anybody should be able to do it, really.
Yeah, this is it. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's huge.
Because for as long as we've waited and wanted Google Voice integration with Hangouts, we got it, and now we're finding that we're getting more than we even thought we would ever get.
Yeah, way more.
So stoked. I'm so stoked about
It's a
this.
total dream come true, I would say.
So we'll keep you updated on that. I know, Nick, you're putting together a write-up on some of the changes and how some of this stuff works. So be on the lookout for that. But, man, as we dig into this more, we'll have some stuff up on the site for you. I am so excited about this. The other app news this week, big news I saw was Netflix adding post-play to Chromecast. This is something that my wife has complained about for a long time. On Chromecast, when you're watching Netflix, you can't just autoplay the next episode like you can when you're using Netflix on the web. Well, now you can. Netflix is rolling that out in an update so that your Chromecast, when you're watching a show, as the credits are rolling, it'll buffer the next show. And if you don't do anything, I think within 15 seconds, it'll just automatically start playing the next episode. So if you're binge watching something, or even if you just want to watch 2 or 3 episodes in a row and not have to pick up your phone and change to the next episode, it's doing that. So pretty cool update there too. But that's about it for news, hardware, software. What's new in your Android world? Nick, what you got, man?
Don't ask me that.
We will
I
move
honestly
on.
don't think anything. I haven't, other than Hangouts today. My Android week has been pretty boring.
Hey man, that Hangouts will make up for last week and this week and next week. That's good stuff right there.
Like I found one new live wallpaper. That's about it.
It's a slow week for you because you're usually digging for those things.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Well, Alex, I know you got the Moto X and the Moto G and the Moto 360 from that Chicago event. Anything else awesome that's popped up for you?
That's it. It's been quiet, like, 2-3 weeks now for me, other than the Motorola stuff. Yeah, that's all I got.
Again, that'll hold you over.
Oh, yeah.
So, I downloaded a couple of new games that I haven't played yet. Sweet. I still been playing Need for Speed, but I also downloaded Asphalt 8. Something called Demo, Demo. There was a sale. Nick, you sent me the link to this. It was like an 89% off sale or something.
Yep.
In the Play Store. When I clicked on it, like all the apps were free with in-app purchases. So I don't know what the 89% discount was. Maybe they used to cost something, and I don't know. So those were two that caught my eye that I downloaded. But again, I've just been busy with other stuff, so I haven't played them. Tetris Blitz was one of those other free ones.
That's a good one.
So, yep, I don't know if that sale is still going on or if those are still free or what, but they all have in-app purchases, so I'll probably be spending a couple of bucks on them at some point.
Yep.
Yeah, Asphalt 8 is one of my favorites out of the number, or the ones that you just mentioned. Especially playing on, like, the Fire TV, it's really nice.
And I've heard good things about it, so I'll give it a spin at some point this week.
Yep.
No pun intended there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good one. Because it's a car game.
Oh, I like it.
So that's about it new for me, man. And this Hangouts app, I'm so stoked on this. Finally having this. And the Hangouts dialer icon looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's flat.
Yeah, it's funny because it looks terrible with the icon pack I have.
Does it?
Yeah, because it's got a weird square border around it with a
yeah.
circular icon. It's just wonky.
It's a material design type icon.
Yeah, it looks weird next to the regular Hangouts icon.
It's funny because the actual the shadow on the icon looks very similar to the icon pack I'm using. Like it's the same angle and almost the same opacity too.
And you can use either the Hangouts dialer app or the regular Hangouts app to access both features. That's one thing we didn't mention. So with the Hangouts update, in order to use the phone calls, you have to download a separate Hangouts dialer, and then it's integrated into the Hangouts app. Whether you open Hangouts or you open the Hangouts dialer, you get the dialer, you get all of your messaging, your call history, the whole nine. So, but yeah, that'll do it for the Android Headline Show, episode 76. You can find us on Twitter at Android Headline, on Facebook and Google+, obviously at AndroidHeadlines.com. But Nick, Alex, thanks for hanging out. It's always fun. I love chatting with you guys. Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
See everybody next week.
Later.